welcome back to the series. Behind me, you can see we have the world's first Audi A5 V6 3-litre turbo diesel. Now, I haven't been on the film for about a week and a half because I got a viral infection and tonsillitis and it just wiped me out. On to Dad for more.
Thanks, Mitch. Well, here we are again. Not much has happened, and that's why we didn't put an episode on last week. I didn't think we'd done anything particularly interesting, but I got some comments and contacted by one of the people that views our channel asking what had happened and why we weren't on, saying he didn't care what we were doing. He wanted to know exactly what we were up to, so here's the episode for that. While Mitchell was sick, I decided that I'd get onto the brake lines. Now, this mess here is what was left of the brake lines from the master cylinder to the ABS unit after the accident. They were completely mangled and crushed and useless. So I went into town and went to MCX, Frank and Faye. They hadn't seen the series, but they offered to help, and they gave us some Bundy tube, which I've since bent into our new brake lines. As I said, from the master cylinder over here to the ABS. So thanks to Faye and thanks to Frank. Couldn't do it without you. Here's over to Mitch.
In the previous episode, you would have seen that we were finishing off the tail shaft. We want to first off, before we get to that, I want to give a huge shout out to Steve at Yeppoon Auto Records for giving us this tail shaft. As you can see, it's all finished now. And we have to thank Darryl Watson from Darryl Watson Engineering once again for letting us use his machines. And with that done, here's off to Spence.
Here at the back of the car, we have the fuel tank. So we've mounted the original A5 cap to our new fuel tank. We've mounted it in, rock solid as anything, and underneath you have a foam-filled surge tank. Over to Dad.
Thanks, Spence. So, one of those boring things that I didn't think was very interesting, and I'll just run you through it anyway. Fuel lines, standard steel lines go down through the guard, down through here, and then underneath the car. And the car's going to sit so low, even though I haven't put the guard here yet. We've built an aluminium guard all the way underneath, all the way through to the fuel pump, and then Mitch and Spence finished off running the fuel lines and connecting them to the tank yesterday.
Once again, I want to thank a huge supporter of this series, Darryl Watson from Darryl Watson Engineering. He has gifted us this Intercolor. This is huge because there's one less thing we have to buy, so once again, thank you, Darryl. This week we had to buy silicone hose to finish off the Intercolor. Here they are.
Alright, another thing of course that we had to do, and Spence can flash you to a shot of how the front end used to look. We only had a 3-wheel car when we got the A5. One wheel was missing, and it wasn't for 2 weeks until the farmer from down the road phoned us and said, "We've found your wheel, the cows have eaten enough grass, we can now see it, please come and get your wheel out of our paddock," which we did. But of course in the accident, drive shafts and wheels went flying everywhere. Checked the drive shafts, the original A5 drive shafts, and they were straight. I had some leftover all-road drive shafts from the S1 build. Basically I just took the CV joints off this end and took the CV joints off this end, and they, luckily for us, Audi make everything the same, they all fitted onto the A5 drive shafts. So basically, with a lot of grease and messing around, we reconditioned the drive shafts and they're all botted back in. And Spence can show you a shot of that. So As you would have seen, we've got the car running, but it's not running at the moment. Reason for that is that the computer is not here. The ECU has been sent away. Now, we didn't know exactly what we were going to do about the ECU with all the fault codes and things that kept coming up, basically telling us that we couldn't drive the car and that it wouldn't allow us to change gears, etc., etc. I rang my friend in Poland, Tomasz. He put me in touch with a guy called Christoph from DigiTune. Christoph, I've got to try and get this straight. Christoph from DigiTune put me in touch with a guy who's over here on a working visa from Greece called Con. I sent the computer to Melbourne. Con downloaded the files from the computer, emailed them to Christoph, and Christoph is currently working on those, and he's going to send them back. Christoph tells us that he's done quite a few of these in the past, and we can expect around about 100 horsepower gain and about 140 newton meters of torque gain, putting us about the 340 range and in horsepower, and about 640 newton meters of torque. In this little car, that is going to be a lot of fun. So another thing I'm going to try and do this weekend, in fact I'm not going to try and do it, I'm just going to do it, is just put the O2 sensor back in. So you've seen our exhaust, fairly simple, a bolt here, 3 bolts here on the flange. I'll drill a hole and I'll weld our nut on, and the next thing we'll put our O2 sensor in at the right depth, and that should help the computer work out what's going on as well.
As you may have seen earlier in the episode, all the doors are now on the car. If you take a step back, I'll open them and show you what we've done. As you can see, the only thing left on the inside of the door is the handle. We've stripped the doors for 2 reasons. Firstly, to make it as light as possible, and secondly, to fit them on. Because the dash is so much wider than the original dash, we had to cut all this part of the door out just to get it to fit in. Furthermore, on the door we'll be taking out all the glass and making perspex panels to put in there so we get even lighter.
Thanks for watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, show us some support and like and subscribe to the channel.
Don't forget to hit that notification bell. See you all next episode.